From the boardroom to the ballroom, our guest this week makes every move count. It's Event About It with Johnnie White. Hey everybody, welcome to Event About It. I'm your host, Megan Martin, and our guest this week is best known for taking the bored out of board meetings and the panic out of planning. As CEO, he's turning strategy into symphonies and has herded more stakeholders than a rodeo. Welcome to the studio, Johnnie White.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I love your intro. That was really catchy music there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's super fun. We're trying to, have some fun, edutainment. I think as an industry, we sometimes take ourselves a little too seriously. So we're just trying to lighten the mood a little bit and have some learnings while we have some fun with it.
Well, good. I like that. I like to have
Well,
fun, so this is good.
I agree. And I love the sign behind you. Can you tell us a little bit about the Mamba mentality and how that plays into your day to day?
Oh, well, thank you for asking that. And this is a sign that I've had for quite a few years now. I've always been a Kobe Bryant fan. I'm not a Lakers fan, but I'm a Kobe Bryant fan. So let's make sure we understand that.
I
But I
love it.
like his mentality in terms of just, making sure that you're fierce on the court and, you understand all the aspects of the court. So I take that same mentality when I take on my positions in running organizations. I want to be the best of myself when I lead these organizations. So that's why I have that sign and I see it every day when I come in here. And it reminds me that I need to be showing the best of myself.
Oh, I love that. And it kind of plays in a little bit to what we're going to talk about, in the episode and even in the after show. You're one of the few that have come from the meetings and sort of education department to move to CEO. So quickly tell us, like, how did you have to shift some of your mentality from operational focus, executing really well these programs, to now running the whole organization and using strategy and a little bit more forward thinking?
I think one of the advantages of being in the meeting side of the business or education side of the business, you wear many hats. And what I mean by that, you have to, we all, when you're doing that, understand the logistics, but you also have to be a strategic planner or strategic thinking, because you have to think strategically on how is this program going to be effective? What are the things you need to do and ensure that you're going to get the attendees? So you're wearing multiple hats. You have a marketing hat, you have an HR hat, you have a finance hat. Of course, you have a logistics hat. Like I said, you have to have a strategic thinking hat. So because of that, it really helps you in transitioning into that C-suite CEO position. That's what helped me, because I've always been a strategic thinker. As I moved up the ranks, it helped me to be comfortable in taking on more of a responsibility of the entirety of the organization instead of just one division of the organization. And one other thing I think I learned throughout my process of moving up, again, this meetings education division of an organization interacts with all the other departments because again, when you're doing that annual meeting, all these other departments are coming into that program and you become the leader of
Yeah.
that program. So you're a leader of that organization during that short time frame because you're running that program. And so having that opportunity, I think I became, and I've always been a sponge. I mean, I was trying to learn as much about, advocacy because we had to develop an advocacy program and a meeting related to that. So I really understood more about advocacy, committees, understanding how they run, how to understand how the board runs, finances, how, because a lot of times the meetings and education department could be 50 to 70% of the entirety of the budget for the entire organization. So I needed to understand, how the budget run. So all these things helped me, and being a sponge and understanding all these other aspects of the organization also helped as I moved up the ranks. Because then I knew when I'm having issues with, let's say, in the advocacy area, I kind of understand that because I was a sponge. Or
Sure.
if I saw some stuff in the financials, I kind of understood that because I, took care of such a large portion of the entirety of the budget. So that helped me in terms of transitioning from just managing education meetings and business development and so forth to running the entire organization.
Yeah, I think annual meetings kind of are like running a little organization in itself because you have marketing, you have advocacy, you have all these different components that kind of have to come together like a symphony to, produce the program well. So I love that. Having worked in high pressure, high stake roles, what's harder? Managing a boardroom or a live event for thousands of people?
I would say managing a boardroom, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a lot of politics when you're trying to uh, develop a consensus amongst multiple individuals that come from multiple backgrounds. Running a meeting, I'm not saying that's easy, but it's you don't have to deal as much politics as you have when you're dealing with a board.
Oh, for sure. If you had to ban one event or boardroom buzzword, what would it be?
Banning, this is the way that we do it.
Yeah.
We should never keep saying this is the way we do it. We should always relook at what we're doing because it could be better ways of doing things. So I would say that's the one thing I would say. You never say, "Oh, this is just the way we do it." We should be thinking differently. Yeah.
All right, we're going to get into a game and have some fun. So it's time for a game called ROI Oh My. We're going to throw out some event and business decisions, and you have to tell us if it's a brilliant return on investment or a budget burning disaster that makes you want to scream, oh my. All
Okay.
right.
So, oh my, or good, right? Is that what
ROI.
you say?
Yeah, you have to tell us
ROI.
if you
Okay.
would do it or if you would say, no way, throw it out.
Okay. All
All
right.
right, first up, creating an exclusive high ticket executive track with limited seats.
Oh no, I would throw that out.
Throw it out. Too much work? Why would you
Yeah,
throw it out?
because in this day and age, you want to have stuff that's going to be open to all rather than the specific audience. And so I think my thoughts is you want because you want the executives and the other individuals to be part of that discussion.
Yeah.
You learn a lot more from those that are on the ground level than at the top level. So having something that's blended together, I think creates more ROI for the organization.
No, I love that. All right, outsourcing all your event strategy to a consultant and then ignoring their advice.
If you're going to outsource to experts, you're going to want to take their advice. I mean, that's why you hired them. So, I would not agree with that. I mean, if you're going to outsource, I outsource them because they're experts and I'm going to want to use them as experts.
Yeah, absolutely. Cutting coffee to save budget at a conference that starts at 8 a.m.
Don't cut the coffee. I
You
mean, if you
can't cut
start
the
off the
coffee.
day, you start off the day without any coffee, it's going to be a bad day and the entire day because so many people are going to be mad that they didn't have their morning coffee.
I agree. You can't cut the coffee. Although we did have an episode where the event of the week was how horrible convention center coffee is. But you still have to have it.
That's a whole other story. I mean, yeah, and interesting enough, and I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't drink coffee, but I think for those that are coffee drinkers, I mean, they just want a cup of coffee. So it could be bad, but they're still going to drink it.
Yeah. It's just sort of the human nature. Like you get there, you see the coffee, it's first thing in the morning, you want the coffee.
Exactly.
All right. Hiring a pro MC to keep sessions on time, the high energy, and avoid awkward pauses.
I totally agree with that. I mean, again, going back to experts, I mean, these facilitators, these moderators, they know how to keep the audience engaged. So I am definitely in supportive of having those type of individuals in your organization or at your program to keep the energy up too. Because having somebody facilitate the process and then instead of having those little pauses every now and then really energizes everybody that's in the room.
Yeah, and I think it helps with connecting the red thread through the whole conference. Like it feels like a seamless experience as opposed to, a keynote breakouts, like these different segments. They kind of help
Right.
bring it all together.
Exactly.
All right, hiring a storytelling coach for speakers to turn their panels into TED Talk level gold.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that too. That's an RII because right now, so as we know from an adult education standpoint, you may have 8 to 10 minutes of attention span. But we also know that hearing a story, people remember that better. So training the speakers to know how to tell their presentation in a story format, I think helps. And then it also, again, helps the attendee to remember what they're trying to get across. So I've always been a person who have done multiple presentations, and I always try to incorporate stories in there because, again, I think that resonates more with individuals.
Yeah, agreed. All right, last couple. Charging attendees extra for Wi-Fi.
Mhm. You can't do that. It's like water. I mean, they love,
Yeah.
I mean, it's right now, Wi-Fi is such a necessity. There's no way that you're going to say, hey, I'm going to charge you extra for that. Now you could do some creative things, like you could take the model of a hotel. If you go to the Marriott and you're part of Bonvoy, you get the Wi-Fi for free. So maybe you have some incentives there that, they have to be at a certain level with your membership or something like that, that gives that an incentive. But you don't want to just outright say, hey, everybody has to pay for Wi-Fi.
No, agreed. Agreed. I love that idea too. Maybe members get Wi-Fi for free or something. All right, last two. Swapping a closing keynote for a live podcast taping.
Uh, I'm thinking I would say that you got to have that live keynote because it's going to be more interactive. Them just listening to the podcast. There's no interaction there for the attendee. And that's all about ensuring that attendee or whoever's listening or watching has that engagement. Having the live component gives that engagement.
Yeah, agreed. All right, last one. Sending personalized post-event thank yous to your top attendees.
Oh yeah, you definitely need to do that. That creates a relationship, a continued relationship with that individual, and then that also gets them to want to come back, or they may take that and tell others. I mean, you want these champions out there, and if they had a great experience, then they're going to tell others about your program.
No, agreed. I love that. All right, well, thanks for playing ROI Oh My. This episode of Event About It is sponsored by EventMe, the all-in-one event management software designed to take the stress out of event management. Planning events is tough. We all know. Budgets, sponsors, vendors, ticketing, just to name a few. It's enough to make you want to hide under a registration table. And that's why we love EventMe. They've put together a free event management resource hub packed with tools to make your job easier. Things like an ROI calculator to measure success, a budget planner to keep your numbers in check, and sponsor templates that actually land deals. It's basically your event planning survival kit. And here's the best part. Event About It listeners get a special offer. $500 off the EventMe Pro package. Just check the show notes for the link. And no, this deal is limited time offer, so don't wait to take your event to the next level and start controlling the chaos. Stop stressing and start planning smarter today with EventMe. All right, our next segment is my favorite. It's our favorite therapy session, the Vent of the Week. This is where we let it all out. Event fails, unexpected chaos, and those are you kidding me moments. No filter, no sugarcoating, real talk. What is your vent? What is something that instantly makes you want to grab the mic and take over at events?
There's so many different events that I've been to and so many things that I've seen that having our experience, you just want to step in and help them out. I'll share a personal story. So years ago, and I preface to say, I am not a wedding planner. I never want to be a wedding planner. That's just not my thing because all the details associated with wedding planning is just not my thing.
We talked about this in an earlier episode. I myself am the same way because with a wedding, you have a few hours to get it right. With conferences and education programs, you have a couple days. So if you mess up on day one, you still have 3 days or 2 days to surprise and delight, where with a wedding, you've got 4 hours.
Yeah. And with weddings, there's all this emotion that you have to deal with.
Yes.
With the individual and the bride, the groom, and blah, blah, blah. So, but the story is years ago, I was at a cousin's wedding and he had hired a wedding planner. And it was a disaster from the beginning. Nothing was organized. And this is the day of the wedding, from the banquet hall, not all set up correctly, from the food and beverage. And I just couldn't take it anymore. So I literally stepped in and started to facilitate the entire process from doing this to do that. And it's embarrassing for the wedding planner. She started coming to me for every move. All right, what do we do
Oh
next?
my
What do we do
God.
this? How do we do that? So my cousin was very, very happy that I stepped in. But it was just a disaster. And I hate, and again, I'm not putting the wedding planner under the bus, but I think she was overwhelmed and just out of her lane. And I don't know how long she had her business or anything like that because I never really got to know her. As you probably can understand, because I
Yeah.
wasn't too happy with her. Uh, but it also, made me realize why I would never want to do weddings because it's just so much, again, these emotions and stuff that you have to deal with. And, I'm a straightforward guy. Let's make a decision. We move forward. It's no go back and forth, and especially you're in the heat of the moment. And that's where we were, in the heat of the moment. And so there was times where even the bride was like, well, I said, nope, no, we got to do this. Let's move it forward. You'll be fine. And they were, because they started to, trust my decision. And overall, it turned out to be very well put together program, or an event. But there was times where it was just total chaos.
Oh, I believe it. I have a good friend in Atlanta that is of special events. Like she does galas and all kinds, but she does a lot of very high end weddings. And I used to moonlight on the weekends as her, assistant just for some extra money and for fun. And honestly, it reminded me so much why I love doing business events and not social programs because it
Gosh.
was such a great reminder that on Monday morning, I'm like, okay, back to business.
Yes, yes, yes. But it's funny, as you ask that question, it's so many, being in the business that we are in and have been, you go to events with a different lens. Like I go to concerts or uh all kinds of different events. And I'm always looking around at, okay, why did they do that? Or what's going on there? And, it's it kind of sometimes, people look at me like, well, why are you so serious? And I'm like, why aren't you enjoying the event? I said, I am. I'm just trying to either learn, some of the things they're doing so that I could take back to what we're doing, or I'm looking at it and like trying to second guess, what's happening here and where's the event organizer so I can go talk to them and say, hey, you may not want to do that. So.
I have found myself in similar situations with friends' weddings where I've had to step in at the last second, after the rehearsal dinner, writing a run of show and figuring it all out and doing processional lines and all of this. And I have found it very hard to be able to turn that switch off once it's turned on. And it's very similar. It's hard to go to events and just enjoy the experience because I'm always looking like at a concert at the sound stage of like, are their faces freaking out because I'm like, oh man, that was definitely a misstep and like what's happening behind the scenes.
Yes, and the other thing I'll point out that and it's probably been the last couple of years I've been doing more of this too. Now I'm going to events. I'm looking at the safety. Okay,
Oh,
what
for sure.
is this going to be okay? What the evacuation looks like, and it's sad that we have to do that. But that's kind of the other thing that I'm starting to look at, which is it's a heightened situation now, being that we're always thinking about that when we're doing events. So now I'm just also doing it on a personal level when I go to events.
Yeah, same. Always looking for that easy exit, which way am I going if something comes down? All right, well, let's end on a happy note. It's the event about it segment. The part of the show where you get to spill the tea on a memorable event moment, a huge success or a total disaster or just pure chaos. You've kind of shared one already with your friend's wedding. Do you have a business example to share with us?
I call this Symposium by Candlelight. So it was a
Oh, cool.
program. It was a program that was I think it was in Canada. I won't say the city, but they had a blackout, and it was in the middle of a symposium. This was an evening. It was in the middle of a symposium. So the room was totally dark. Speakers were, and this was in the middle of them giving presentations. So we had a big AV set up, and there's a dinner program. And so we had to think on our feet. What do we do now? We didn't want to cancel it because we had a pretty large amount of attendees in the
Well, and
room
everyone's
too.
already in the room, like
Yes,
the
everybody's
middle of the
there.
show.
They have expectation of learning, about this. It was launching of a new drug. So what we ended up doing and working with the hotel, they were able to get candles. And so we brought a bunch of candles in, by the tables and so forth. And it gave some more lighting, a little bit better lighting than no lighting at all. And there were some emergency lights on too, of course, to show that. And we convinced the speakers to continue presenting. Now, we told them that they got to be, creative because they don't have their slides. So, talk through, what you were going to talk about on the slides. And it turned out to be probably a better program than it would have been with the slides, because now it was more engaging. The speakers are kind of, giving those details, and people were able to ask and so forth. So at the end, I think a lot of our attendees, it's sad that the lights went off and we didn't get the full, what they thought was going to be the program. But in the end, they still got the content that they needed. And I think they even got it in a better way because it was more engaging.
Oh, I love that. So walk me through how much time, it probably felt like a lifetime, but maybe it was only a few minutes between when the power goes out and you make the decision to bring these candles in and bring the program, back to life. Like, how much time
Yeah.
was that?
So, all right. So the power went out probably 30, 40 minutes into the program. And then I think we were able to transition, have the candles and the program starting back up in probably about 20 minutes.
All right, so
Yeah.
that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Probably felt like a
Yeah.
lifetime, but
Yes.
it's pretty
It
quickly
did.
to bring candles. And how big of a program are we talking? Hundreds?
Yeah, it was about 250.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a lot of candles to put on tables. The fact that you
Yes.
got it done in 20 minutes is impressive.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I
So
love it.
it was
Well,
good.
and then from last question on this story, so many questions, but from a safety standpoint, did the hotel have any reservations about then filling this room from a risk perspective with all these
Yeah.
candles
So
and open
yeah,
flames?
I know. So this was I think they do things a little different in Canada. So
Okay.
because I was a little concerned too that we're gonna have all these candles in here, but there was candles on the table already.
Okay.
It was a dinner program, so that was
Sure.
part of their decoration. So because of that, I think it was okay to bring these additional candles in because it already started with candles.
Nice. Well, it just certainly helps that there's tables and it's not, like old days where people are like holding a candle and a lantern
Yes.
to like navigate the room.
Yes, exactly. It wasn't anything like that. Definitely just on the tables. No one was holding their candles.
Oh, well,
And then
thank
and it felt
goodness.
like it wasn't in this time, this was years ago. I think back then, and I'm dating myself, we had Blackberry. So there was no
Yeah.
flashlights on cameras.
Oh,
So
well, yeah, I guess that's one way to do it now. Everyone could just flashlight their camera.
yes.
Oh, good to know. Well, look, we just solved problems. So in the future, if the power goes out, just tell everyone to turn their flashlights on their phone.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. Well, thanks for joining us on Event About It today. Where can people find you? What's next? How can they engage with you?
Social media. I'm on all the different channels. So, Johnnie White CEO. You can find me Facebook, LinkedIn, even Instagram. Uh, X I don't do as much with. So you can definitely find me there. And I'm always out and about. I travel quite a bit, and I go to a number of industry conferences and things of things for the organization. So, if you see me in the airport or in the airport lounge, definitely come over because that happens a lot. It's interesting enough the amount of people that we know, because it seems like every place I go, I see someone, which is fine, and I really love that people come up to me and we talk. So if you see me, don't be shy, come up and let's have a conversation.
Oh, I love that. And it's definitely true. I mean, my first interaction with you was when you were PCMA chair of the board, and I was just starting my PCMA journey at the time and remember seeing you on stage and just being like so admired everything you were doing and talking about and just wanting to be like, oh, I'd love to meet him. And my boss at the time, Ron Aleko, such a powerhouse in the industry. And he was just like, just go talk to him. He's the nicest guy. Just go say hi. And I was like, no, he's so busy. He's so busy. And he was just like, no, he's so nice. Just go say hi to Johnny. And that was probably, I don't even know, 10 or 15 years ago now.
I'm glad you did. I really do. I love, talking to people and having these relationships that, as we know in this industry, we have a lot of good friends. And that's because, we're open to discussing and conversating, and we become friends for life. So this is, I'm glad you did that, because this is great that we're continuing our dialogue. And, like what we'll say, me and Megan have become even more friends because fantasy football is a thing that,
Yes.
Megan's part of in terms of a fantasy football league. Who knew that,
Who
you
even
would be
knew?
part of a fantasy league?
Yes, for those that don't know, Johnny is the commissioner of the fantasy football league that I play in. And it was another association that even brought us all together in a whole nother light. So we're going to talk actually about that association a little bit in the after show. So if you want to hear about how Johnny was the sole male in an all women's organization and how he kind of championed some of the things that we're going to get into that in the after show. Thanks for joining another episode of Event About It, where we turn event mishaps into marketing gold. If you enjoyed the chaos, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs a laugh. And head over to eventaboutitpodcast.com to send us your events, your stories to be featured on a future episode. While you're there, join the Squared Squad where you can access bonus content, engage with episode guests like Johnny, and catch the Event About It after show for even more dynamic dialogue where we're going to talk about moving from operations to strategy, what CEOs and planners can learn from each other, and was Johnny ever faked a line to get out of a networking conversation? Until next time, keep growing, keep laughing, and keep eventing about it.